Hey guys, you're listening to episode 40 of the School of Intuition Soundcast, and I'm Natasha Che. In this soundcast, every Saturday, I talk to you from my couch and I share with you a piece of teaching that helps you to tap into your intuitive connection with the source, with your higher self, in order to live a juicier life and for you to make a bigger impact in the world. And I love my listeners, and I love hearing from you guys because whether you realize this or not, you are the light of this world. And for example, this week, a listener of this soundcast, Matthew, wrote in and he said, "Since first coming across your materials, I have published my third book, launched my website, got a lawyer to help set me free from my old contracts, and started rewriting my first novel the way I feel it needs to be, with the voice of a wiser man, and to bring the 15-year gap closer together. Thank you for your useful advice. This world you're creating is most excellent." Well, congratulations, Matthew. That's what I'm talking about, because that's why I do what I do. Because what I realized is, no matter what I do, I'm just one single person, and the amount of impact I can create in the world is always limited. But if I help you to shine your light more brightly, to help you to discover your light and your gifts, you are going to go out there and create a beautiful life and make it positive change in the world. And collectively, we are powerful. So, that really motivates a lot of the, things that I do, including making this soundcast. So today I want to talk to you about something very important if you are on a spiritual journey. I think this is something, it's a very important topic, but to be honest, I don't expect this to be a very popular topic or episode, because I know this is actually, most people, they don't feel called to approach this because it's part of the reason is because it's scary. And the thing I'm talking about here is emptiness, nothingness. So to me, I think one of the most important spiritual skills you can cultivate is your relationship with emptiness. And I'll tell you why I say that, okay? But first of all, not everybody is called to develop a relationship with emptiness. Actually, most time in most people's life, we try to avoid it at all costs. We don't want to feel empty. We're not interested because, first of all, it's scary. And I'll tell you why it's scary in a minute. But secondly, seriously, it's just not a lot of people's destiny. It's not in their life plan to actually have that experience or to explore the space of emptiness. Most people, it's not in their life plan. It's like, I drive a car. It gets me from point A to point B, but am I interested in knowing what's under the hood? For the most part, I'm not interested. I'm only interested in, for most people, we're living the life, we're living the emotions, the stories, the drama, and that's, busy enough, right? And if I'm driving a car, I'm not interested in seeing the ugly engine under that lid, right? So you don't want to know. Most people don't want to know, and they're consciously avoiding it. However, what I can tell you is this, okay? If you master this relationship with emptiness, your life will be so different. You will live more free. Things will hardly faze you no matter what happens. External shocks happen in life. Events and instances happen in our life. Ups and downs, every day we go through those. But anything you experience will not likely to faze you. You will be so much more resilient. You will be more creative. You will hold your emotions and other people's energies differently. You will hold them with a much lighter quality. Your life will just, go smoother. And also, you will have the balls to live bigger, to take risks. Playing small will not be a problem if you have a mature relationship with emptiness. And it will not even feel like you're taking a risk or you're being courageous, because it will just feel like so natural. And I will tell you why it is the case. But I know some of you may be thinking, okay, this doesn't sound bad. Okay, so what exactly do we need to know here? So I want to tell you what I'm going to cover today. Okay, now first of all, I want to talk about emptiness itself. What is it? What it's not? Why it's so scary, right? What it actually does when you have a relationship with emptiness. And then we will do a practice that we will actually dive into your emptiness, will actually welcome that emptiness into your consciousness. And this is something you don't have to do, right? If any of what I said so far doesn't resonate with you, then don't even go on listening to the rest of it. Because again, not everybody is called to take this path. It's a very, very unique thing. So but I hope that if you listen through this, if you practice, you can call it meditation or whatever, that we are going to do together, by the end of this episode, you will feel a sense of freedom, a sense of space that you didn't have before about life. Okay? So now, first of all, I want to talk about what emptiness is, why emptiness is so scary. First of all, I want to tell you a personal experience, and it may not seem directly related, but it actually is. So, quite a few years ago, when I first got out of school, I got my first job, and I started making money, and I saved some money, and I bought my own place. So I was really, really excited, right? First time homeowner. I just went shopping and bought something big. And the first few days I first moved into my house, I was so excited. I thought, okay, everything's so great. I have a bigger place, bigger closet, big, bathrooms. But the thing is, this is something strange. The first night, I couldn't sleep. I was all nervous and anxious. And, I got up and I walked around. I lie back down again. I still couldn't sleep. And I knew why. But the fact that I knew why doesn't mean that the feeling went away, right? Those are two different things. And the reason why is because my human self was freaked out about this much bigger space. Well, it's not like it's a big house or anything. It's, but the thing is, I had been at that point living in a really tiny, very small studio apartment for quite a few years. And it was one of those places that felt like a toy that you can hold in your palms. And I had lived in that space for a long time. So my body, my human self, was used to having that boundary, having that limit, having that much of a small limit, putting a lid on my existence. It felt safe, because that's what I knew. That's what my ego knew. And then I suddenly moved to this much bigger space, and then my ego felt lost. It felt like, oh my God, where's my identity? Where is my boundary? How do I navigate? Like, this much bigger space is completely, terrifying, because it's hard for my human self to establish its identity in relation to this, much larger space. And I'm telling you this because that's exactly what happens, very similar to what happens when we are touched by emptiness. It's not like a physical thing, but your being feels it. And instinctually, it triggers this fight or flight response from the ego, right? So a lot of people, when they tell you, okay, I feel empty, what they're feeling is actually not emptiness, because emptiness is not a feeling. By definition, it's nothingness, right? You cannot feel anything in nothingness. It's like you cannot taste air. If someone tells you the air tastes like such and such, they're talking about something else other than the air, right? So by definition, emptiness itself, it doesn't make you feel anything. What you're actually feeling is your ego's response when your being is being contacted by emptiness. And that response is usually not a pleasant one. It's usually in the line of feeling scared, feeling anxious, feeling anxiety, feeling lost, confused, and a huge ball of fear. And so, that's why, a lot of times people mistaken this event of being contacted by emptiness. We mistaken it as anxiety, as depression, or even as illness. But it's actually not. It's just the nature of human identity. The nature of ego is it needs something. It's always a dual space. It needs something to play against in order to define its own existence, right? It's like the ego has to know what the boundary between what you call you and the rest of the world, right? When it cannot find its boundary, it thinks it's going to extinct. It's going to be annihilated, and it's freaking out, right? And also that freaked out response, it's your human self trying to protect you from this thing, this nothing that seems like a annihilation. And also, if you look at how your body's neural system develops, it needs constant stimuli in order to develop healthily, right? If you put a baby, people did research, and if you put a baby in an environment where there was no response, no stimuli from the outside world, the baby grows up like an idiot because it doesn't have any sense of discernment, right? So in order for your neural system to grow, to develop healthily, to stay healthy, we need the constant stimuli, the constant differentiation from the environment in order to function as a normal human. So, but the thing is, when your consciousness, when you're in the state when you are being approached by emptiness, it has this quality which is the opposite of stimuli. It's completely neutral. There's nothing in it, no feeling, no emotion, no meaning, no story, no whatever. Okay? And then your body is freaking out because by its past experience, it knows like, well, this space feels very weird. This is not where we should be right now. It's like if you've never seen what's under the hood of a car, and you see it, if you go to a car dealer, I know, like the first time I went to buy a car, I walk into the car dealer, and the salesperson trying to lift up the lid of the engine and try to show me the engine, I was actually quite freaked out because I was like, oh my God, I don't want to see this. I don't want to know this. It's totally outside of my comfort zone. I just need to know what the car can drive, and that's it. So that's why you're having that response of that feeling of emptiness, where we feel like, oh my God, I'm facing this giant abyss of unknown. I don't know what's in it. Well, there's nothing in it. I'm facing this giant abyss and I'm so totally freaked out. It's on multiple levels. It's triggering your survival instinct as a sentient being, as a human, right? That's why it's just so scary. And that's why, most time we don't want to go there. And we try all sorts of ways to not go there, right? So one of the reasons you see a lot of, people in teenage years, in their development years, they develop some kind of, addiction, some kind of, drug abuse and things like that. To some extent, it's because we felt the call of emptiness and we didn't know how to handle it. And our response, when we're not so wise and we didn't know what it was, our response to the way we try to handle it is we try to suppress it. We try to put a lid on it. We try to, find something else to distract ourselves so we don't feel that so freaky, unnatural feeling, right? That's triggered by the emptiness. So for me, this has been always, it has been a constant. I've always been contacted. I've always felt this space of emptiness ever since maybe I was 6 or 7. But for the most part of my life, I didn't know what it was, right? I didn't develop any, physical addiction or anything. But for a long time, I was, very addicted to being a high achiever. Use all sorts of busyness, activities, projects to, to some extent, to not go there, not go into that emptiness where it seems like nothing is meaningful, nothing matters. It's hugely scary, right? And also, I was, in my 20s, I was addicted to relationships. I couldn't go on like a couple of weeks without dating because, again, it was like a survival mechanism to, at least the part of the purpose, and that what I was doing is try to avoid that emptiness. So but then, why am I telling you that's actually something that's useful? If it's just what I've been telling you so far is like, it's bad, it's terrible, triggers this fight or flight response. But how is that going to help you, right? And what I want to tell you is it is, emptiness is a doorway. It is an invitation. It is a initiation for you that it can initiate you into another level of consciousness. It can change the nature of your existence. Because, and the reason is the following, we are usually so immersed in our human story, in the daily events, and our goals and our desires, or the stimuli and drama, what we call the phenomena of the world, right? A lot of people, spiritual people, say, well, the phenomena of the world is an illusion. I think that's bullshit. It's not a illusion, at least not in a negative sense. It's just what it is. It's one facet of how existence is manifested. Okay? But the thing is, that's not the entire truth. And that is not even the deeper truth of what existence is. So when you feel this feeling of emptiness, when you are being approached by emptiness, this creepy, dark animal, as it seems, but it's actually not, but it feels that way. It's a calling for you to actually peel back that curtain of existence, to lift that lid of life, to see what's under the hood and see it as what it actually is, which is nothing. And that's something our human self, our ego, absolutely takes on as the worst news ever. But if you think about it, it's really the deeper truth of life. And we live in a world of matters, right? Things that you can touch and things you can see, things you can feel. Even things like emotions and energy, they are matters. It's just they're lighter matters, right? They're not a desk. They're not a truck, but they are still matter. But if you look at every kind of matter, you've all been in, high school, in physics class, you're taught every kind of matter is composed of what? Atoms. And what is an atom? I remember in high school, my physics teacher showed me this model of an atom, which is very disappointing because it was basically this little dot, this nucleus, right? Hanging in this giant ball of space, this giant nothingness, basically. It's this little planet, little dot, hanging, sadly, in emptiness. So, if you look at things from that aspect, what we call matter on a subatomic level is not matter. It's actually mostly just emptiness, just space, right? So what appears to be solid matter, what appears to be the phenomena of the world in their fundamental nature of how they are constructed, they're all constructed from emptiness. Now, you may have the experience when, maybe you're obsessed about something, maybe you're anxious about something, and someone said to you, just chill, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. That actually has a lot of truth in it, because at the end of the day, what we call matters, they're not matters, they're emptiness, they're nothingness. Right? So that's something, when someone tells you that you don't need to care about something because it doesn't matter, it's actually literal truth, right? Although that's not how we feel most of the times. So, but the truth is, things that you think matter in life, they actually don't. They're not matter. So, what can you do with that realization? That realization is golden, actually. When you really have that realization on a deeper level, that everything is nothingness, your life changes completely. Because you realize, really, nothing that you experience matters, right, on a certain level. Now, what I want to tell you is, don't go around thinking, this is not a way, I'm not telling you a way to actually suppress how you feel, to justify not feeling a certain way, not feeling bad or not feeling sad or mad or anything, right? I don't want you to go around and something happened to you and you go around and tell yourself, well, it doesn't matter because everything is atom is space. There is no matter, so nothing matters. I shouldn't feel sad or mad or angry or anything. And that's not spiritual. If you do that, that would be the biggest bunch of spiritual crap ever. And you will be doing yourself no good. That's entirely, and also some people, they call this spiritual bypass. That's what I'm talking about. That's not something that you want to do. I don't want you to take this as a concept, as a justification, as an argument in order to avoid life on a normal level. That's the opposite what I'm talking about. Okay? What I'm talking about is, when you are truly having a mature relationship with emptiness, when you master that relationship with emptiness, when you get a taste of what it is, and you have a, you have a balanced relationship with it, it helps you to see the world differently. It helps you to handle everything in your life from a different perspective, from a different energetic space. It's like, when you're being initiated into this world, or this non-world of emptiness, it's like you now have the privilege to have one foot in the primordial space of creation. You have the other foot in the phenomena of creation. And that is a wonderful space to be because you can hold both at the same time. And it makes you a lot more powerful in actually creating the phenomena in the world. And it helps you to live life from a place of enthusiastic detachment. You're passionate about life. You're into what you're doing. You're into your relationships. You're interacting with people from loving, honest, authentic space because you have nothing to hold back from. But on the other hand, you have this underlying detachment because at some level of your consciousness, you know that none of this actually matters. So that's why it's actually, I said, one of the most important spiritual skills to master if you feel called to this approach. Now, but the thing is, again, a lot of times people are not called to go this route, and they don't have to. You master the world of phenomena, the world of creation. That's hard enough, right? But the thing is, if you have felt emptiness, if you have felt this reluctance and this fear and this, instinct to actually cover it up, to do something about it, to wrap it around to some kind of boat, some kind of flowers, that is a sign that you've been called, at least to some degree, right? Like, I've been called to know emptiness since I was very, very young, and I didn't know what it is because I wasn't ready, right? So, do you answer the call? At some point, I think, for a lot of people who are listeners of this soundcast, at some point, you've been contacted by emptiness. And when you feel that kind of hollow, empty feeling, just know that it's like life saying, hey, can I show you something? Can I show you the nature of life? And most of the time we say, nope, not interested, go away. Right? That's most of the time, that's our attitude. Whether it's, the emptiness, they can show up. Sometimes it's situational. For example, a significant relationship got removed from your life. A significant career identity got removed from your life. And you realize, oh my God, there's this huge void left in this place. And sometimes that calling, that initiation emerges from situations of your life, through the situations of your life. And sometimes, it just, it doesn't use any pretense. It doesn't use any, intermediary. It was just something spontaneously happens. For me, it's usually the case. I feel empty, feel this empty for whatever reason. I don't know why. Just nothing feels right anymore. So, but no matter how it emerges, just realize it's a call from life that says, hey, do you want to see something under the hood? And it's your choice to say yes or no, right? And if this is part of your path, if this is part of your callings, if this is the part of your path of the growth of your soul, just know that it's not going to go away. Life is very persistent in, asking you to answer that call. And it's not like it's forcing you to answer a call. It's like, I know that, for the most part of my life, I was like, okay, go away. I don't want to see this. And then I try to do something to cover it up. A few days later, it came back again. How about now? Do you want to see it now? So it goes like this. And eventually I was like, oh, this is so terrible. Let me see what's going on here, right? And then I realized, oh, okay. So when I actually go into it, when I actually have that courage to, despite all my fears, despite all my fight or flight response to this, if I actually have the courage to go in there is a gold mine inside. Okay, a gold mine of nothingness, by the way. So, and also, actually this week I felt called to talk about this because I've been feeling a lot of emptiness this past week. And usually, also something for your reference is at this day and age, at this time and space in our life right now, where we are going through this global transformation and shift in consciousness, if there is any period you feel this intense emptiness for no apparent reason, usually it signals that you are going through some kind of consciousness upgrade. You are going through some kind of shift in consciousness, and that was going on. That was what's underpinning it. So just information for your reference. Okay. So, but nowadays, when I'm feeling that emptiness, my attitude is I still feel the fear, because again, we talked about emptiness itself. It doesn't feel like anything. If you feel emptiness, that's actually your ego's response, your human self's response. And that response is usually not pleasant, right? I still feel the fear, but I know what it is. And I'm at a space where I say, oh, okay, here it is. Hello, come in. Let's explore, right? Let's hang out together. Despite all that human, being human self, that humanness being triggered and so on and so forth. So that's something you may feel called to do. You may feel called to practice as well. So, and then, I promise you we're going to do a practice. We are going to visit emptiness. And you don't have to do this, okay? If your human self is like, no, don't go there, I don't feel comfortable, then fine, skip this. But if you feel called to do this, it's actually a very simple practice, which we're starting now. So first of all, I want you to get centered, right? You may not want to be driving right now. If you get into an accident, don't call me, don't send me an invoice, okay? So get centered in your own space, and then if you want to close your eyes, fine, not a requirement. I want you to zoom in with your attention into that center of you. So what I mean is, you feel things, you think things, that's your consciousness, right? Direct that consciousness, which is attention. Attention is directed consciousness. Use that attention to go deep into the core of you. It's like a magnifying glass. Zoom in and go deeper and deeper. Zero into that core center of your existence. I'm not going to tell you where it's located. You already know it. So go with your instinct. And consciousness is mostly not matter. It can go straight into the subatomic level as fast as it can, as fast as you want. Okay. So I want you to zoom in and then zoom in again. Go deeper and deeper into this, really very minute space that is your core. Go deeper and deeper in there until you reach the space, the non-space of nothingness, until you cannot zoom in any further. You feel like you've reached the ground. You've reached the center. Okay? So if you are there, now I want you to stay there. Stay put for a bit. You can wander around. You can, do some stretches, whatever, move around, but stay there. Stay with that space. And I want to remind you of this. Where you are right now does not show up on the map. It's not a physical space. And where you are right now, you have no identity, no emotion, no energy. This thing called I doesn't exist anymore. It's completely neutral. And this non-space is where the world gets created. Now, if you're feeling like you're nervous, or you feel like your heart's pumping for some reason, it's okay. If you can stay with it, stay with it, okay? If it's too much for you, then, come out. But if you can stay with it, and if you feel like you're a little bit nervous, send love to that part of you. I don't know if it's in your stomach, if it's in your heart, send to that part of you that feel triggered by this. Because that's all it is, right? If you feel anything, you're in a neutral space. If you feel anything other than neutral, if you feel anything at all, your ego is sort of triggered for some reason, right? And what you want to do is send it love. That's also what you want to do when you're being spontaneously contacted by emptiness and you're sensing this sense of, I'm freaking out. What you want to do is send that part of you a lot of love. That's usually that energy is usually what's going to calm it down. So that you can stay in that state of emptiness. You can, stay put in that state so that you can develop that relationship. So that's basically it. You reach a state of emptiness, depending on your constitution, depending on how you're wired. I can tell you it's not the same space for everybody. You may go the depth differs, right? So you may go to a level where you feel like, oh, I cannot go deeper anymore, but you actually can, maybe some other time. So you can come out when you are ready. And when we talk about, developing this relationship, this is an exercise you can do. Actually, if you feel called to do it, you can actually do it however much you want, however frequently you want. And that's one way you can develop this relationship. And also, when you are in those occasions when you spontaneously feel that your ego is being triggered by emptiness, you starting to feel a sense of emptiness, you can do the same, which is go into that core of emptiness with love for your human self. That's all pretty much, for what we are going to cover today. And again, I want to tell you, this relationship of emptiness, I said it's an important spiritual skill to master. If you want to live a life that's more free, more clear, more creative, braver, more resilient, but still, I want to emphasize it's not a route for everybody, right? A more universal approach, I would say, a more consistent approach is to have, consistent practices that you can do so that you can be dialed in to your higher self on a regular basis. And that's actually why I created my Power Mornings audio course, because it's a series of practices that you can use. You don't have to wait for the emptiness hits or some events in your life hit in order to develop and grow. These are practices that you can use every day to get connected with your higher self so that you can channel, you can embody your light, your highest level of consciousness more of the time, much of the time in your daily life. So you can check out the course at natashache.com/morning. And that's all for today. I will talk to you next time.